And welcome back, you stay tuners. It's your good friend Jimbo here, flying solo this week. King is a little under the weather. Hopefully he'll be back next week, better than ever. I'm still a little hungover from the Eagles game last night, but it was definitely a interesting game. Needless to say. Eagles pulling it out. Definitely, both offense weren't really putting many yards up or scoring that many points. But hey, at least football's back. NFL's back. And then also last weekend we had college football season start the whole football season off with Notre Dame, Mean Kings team, pulling out a victory against the Michigan Wolverines. 24-17. It was a really good game. I mean, first half of the game I really couldn't watch it too much. I had my fantasy draft going on, and but I got to see some of the big plays in the first half. Then second half I was able to watch the rest of that because my draft got over, so I was able to get home and watch that. But hey, football's back, and another 30 or so days we'll have hockey as well, so then me and King will definitely be a happy bunch of guys. But kind of go back to college football. We'll touch on that first. Actually, before we touch on that, you can follow us on Twitter at ST Sports Podcast. Follow me at Jimbo ST Sports, and you can follow King at King of Skunk Duck. If you go on Facebook, we're on Facebook there as well. King has Skunk Duck Studios. Go check that page out. It has some cool t-shirts you could buy. Different designs and stuff like that. As far as where you can listen to us, you can find us on iTunes, TuneIn, Google Play, Spotify. Trying to think of some other ones that we could try to get on and be available to as many platforms as we could. To get back to football talk, since that's pretty much what everybody's been looking forward to for the past 5-6 months. Well, let's go back to college football this past Saturday. Like I said at the top of the show, me and King's team, Notre Dame, pulled the upset. Even though Michigan was ranked a couple spots lower, I think everybody thought Michigan was gonna beat us. I don't know if they thought they would, blow us out or destroy us, but we pulled out the win. And typical Notre Dame fashion, we destroyed them for the first 3 quarters of the game, and then let them back in the last quarter. I mean, like I said, my fantasy draft. So the first half I couldn't really sit down and watch it, but King was texting me about it and said our defense was awesome. Definitely had some big plays on offense, but just one season I would like to see Notre Dame every game play a full 60 minutes and close it out, not let them back into it. But hey, a win's a win. I'll take it. And we're playing, I think we're playing Ball State this week. So I'm hoping that they don't overlook them and just think, it's a cupcake game, and we can take a step back, because that's usually where we start to falter. Another game that I was kind of curious to see how it would go. A couple episodes ago, we were talking about the Urban Meyer thing. He ended up getting suspended for, I think it was the first 3 games of this season, and I kept arguing with King about Oregon State could upset them, and well, I was kind of wrong there. Oregon State lost 77-31, so yeah, I was slightly wrong on that one. But, we'll see how they do this week, Ohio State does this week. They got Rutgers. that should be another blowout, another easy game for Ohio State. I mean, I was, just looking at the top 25. There's really still no tough matchups for any of the big schools. I mean, you got Bama playing Arkansas State, Clemson playing Texas A&M. That's blah. The only game I really see possibly being a good game is number 10 Stanford against 17 USC. As far as this weekend, like I said, with Notre Dame, my kids are starting to, get into Notre Dame, whether it's hockey or football or whatever it would be. So we're gonna sit down and watch the game together. It'll be the first game together that we've watched because obviously Notre Dame was on it late last week. So it's gonna be fun. They get as nuts as I do in King. So like I said, that should be an easy game for them. Then we had Thursday night football. Philadelphia Eagles against Atlanta Falcons, unveiling the Super Bowl banner and bringing the Lombardi Trophy out, and kickoff was supposed to be 8:20, and football gods said nope, not yet. Had to have I think it was like a half-hour delay due to the rain and stuff, because we got some pretty nasty thunderstorms and stuff like that coming up through here. So we had to wait a little bit longer. But once it kicked off, it felt good to have football back. Nick Foles started for the Eagles. Wentz was inactive. I think he's still going to be another week or two away from seeing him. But our defense definitely was a bend don't break defense. I mean, Matt Ryan kept driving down, but once he got outside the red zone, shut them right down. Held them to a couple field goals in the first half. But on the flip side, Eagles offense really didn't do that much either as far as moving the ball. I mean, every time Foles dropped back, it seemed like he just wanted to keep passing Nelson Aguilar, and I kept screaming at the TV because I was watching at the bar with my dad. Zach Ertz was supposed to have a more bigger role, with Wentz being out and Jeffries being out, and even our rookie tight end Dallas Goedert. I think he had that one pass thrown to him that he dropped, where he tipped up in the air and the Falcons guy intercepted it. But here going into this game was two high-powered offenses, and I think both quarterbacks didn't even sniff 200 yards passing. But in the end, it came down to a red zone play, and Matt Ryan just couldn't get to old Julio. The Eagles defense stepped up. I was glad that there wasn't slowed down with the helmet rule calls. There was, I think, officiating though. I think it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't many bad calls. Some of the instant replays, I think maybe they missed one, but even that one was a little iffy. I forget who caught it, but it was for the Falcons guy. I think it was a tight end, and he had his hands underneath it, but then when he was rolling it seemed like the football touched the ground a little bit, but not enough to overturn it. But yeah, definitely the kickers definitely got a workout yesterday. And it was kind of funny, like the first half, like I said, I was watching with my dad, and I said, it'd be pretty funny if they pull out the Philly at some point during this game. And sure enough, I think it was like third quarter, it was third down and 9, third down and long, and Foles hiked it, handed it off to I think it was Aguilar, and I saw Clement coming over. I'm like screaming at home, like, no, they're not going to. And sure enough, they did a type of play like that. And later on, it came out that Lane Johnson said it wasn't the Philly play. It was actually the play the Patriots ran against us in the Super Bowl. And he kind of took a shot at Brady by saying, at least, you know, this time around we have a quarterback to catch it. But, you know, like once they did that play, it felt and seemed like the offense had a little boost there. Ajayi started to come in, started running a little bit harder, started getting, you know, 4 or 5 yards at a clip. And then he had that nice touchdown, you know, the little reach over. And I hate when running backs do that, but when it works, it works. So then, you know, so that kicked off the NFL season. We got all the other games coming up Sunday night, and Monday. And probably, I want to say some good games too. I mean, you got San Fran and against Minnesota at 1. That could be a really good game, because I mean both teams have good defenses, and it'll be Kirk Cousins' first game, regular season game as a Viking. You have Cincinnati, Indianapolis. You got Andrew Luck's first game back in what, a year and a half, 2 years. So I'll be curious to see how he does there. Are they gonna let him loose, or are they gonna kind of play it safe and, you know, limit his throws and stuff like that? I guess this part of the show, you could say these are my picks, because so, like, you know, like I said, San Fran, Minnesota. I want to say Minnesota's gonna win that, because I think San Fran's still kind of young. You know, Garoppolo, I think is gonna do good this year, but they took a hit last week at running back with McKinnon blowing his knee out. So I'm going to pick Minnesota for that game. The Cincinnati-Indianapolis game, you got to take Cincy, just because there's so many problems with Indy. Defensively, you know, they're terrible. You got Andrew Luck coming back, first time playing in 2 years, so, you know, is he going to have some rust? It just seems like there's a lot there stacked up against Indy, so I'll go with Cincinnati there. Then you have Buffalo and Baltimore. I'll go with Baltimore, but I won't be surprised if Buffalo wins as a upset pick, if you will. Then we have Tampa Bay, New Orleans at 1. I mean, you gotta go with New Orleans. Tampa Bay is just a mess with the Jameis Winston stuff, and they always seem like, you know, they're set up for a good year, and they're gonna win 12 games this year, and they end up pooping the bed and only winning 4 games. So I'll go with New Orleans with possibly a blowout, just as long as the Saints cornerback knows how to tackle, unlike last year in the playoffs. Then you got Jacksonville and the Giants. You got Jalen Ramsey versus Odell Beckham. I think Jacksonville's going to take a step back this year. So this one may be a low-scoring game, because I don't think the Giants' offense is there. They definitely improved with Barkley being drafted, but this might be like a 17-14 type game. Then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns with no Le'Veon Bell, which after my picks I'll get into the whole Bell thing that happened this past week with him and his teammates. But again, Cleveland's going to be Cleveland. I think Pittsburgh is going to win this one, even with all the stuff going on with Bell and the team. So yeah, Pittsburgh by 10. Then we have Houston versus New England. This one depends on if the Houston defense shows up. If they come out strong and play tough, they could win this. I'm actually gonna pick Houston just because New England has so many problems with their wide receiver core right now. They got injuries and suspensions, and there's no one to throw to. I know Brady is God to everybody, but at some point he's not going to be a god anymore, and this may be the game that brings him back to reality. Then we have Tennessee, Miami. I mean, again, this could be another boring one. Could be a 6-3 game, just because Miami's terrible, Tennessee is terrible. So I think between the two, Miami's the more terrible one. So I'll go with Tennessee with the win. Then we have KC and the Chargers at LA. I'll go with the Chargers just because they're at home. This could be a high scoring game, just because both offenses are pretty good. So I think Chargers will pull it out late, and we'll see what happens with that game. Then 4:30 we got Dallas, Carolina. I will never pick Dallas. It could be against my high school football team. I still will not pick them. So I'm going with Carolina. Sorry, Dallas people. Then we have Washington, Arizona. I'll go with Washington with that one, because I think Adrian Peterson's going to have something to say about it. He's supposed to be starting this week for Washington, so we'll see how that goes. Then 4:30 we have Seattle, Denver. I think Denver has too many problems on offense right now, so I'll go with Seattle there. And then Sunday night we have Green Bay against Chicago, with Khalil Mack being traded this past week to Chicago for Scrooge McDuck's gold. I mean, they gave everything in the house for him, but I think it was a fair trade. I know a couple of people on Twitter were reacting about how could you give up 2 first rounders and blah blah blah. Here's the thing, I know Raiders fans were upset about it. My feeling is, you got 2 first rounders. You got one to replace him, because he was a first rounder, and you have another one to fill a hole with an automatic starter wherever you want to. Plus, I think there was like a 6th round or like a later round pick in there. And as far as the Bears goes, this makes them, puts them right up there for possibly the division title. So this could be a game where it shows who's going to be the division champion. I know it's early, it's the first week and everything, but it definitely sets up something for possibly the division. But I still will go with Green Bay though, just because Chicago's offensive quarterback Trubisky, he's still young. I mean, it's what, 2nd year, so I'll go with Green Bay for that one. So kind of rolling back this whole Le'Veon Bell situation, which we talked about last week or the week before, I think it was. I was very against Bell holding out and wanting to get paid more money than what a running back should get, this and that. So this past week, he had some of his offensive linemen come out and put him on blast. And some of them I was surprised from. I think the one lineman name, I think it was Foster, he even put on Twitter, where's Waldo picture, and he photoshopped Bell's face into where Waldo's face is. That was a pretty good one. And now you have the team siding with the ownership and Bell being surprised by this. I mean, how can he come back to the Steelers now? By this point, if I was the Steelers, I would either rescind the franchise tag, which they said they're not going to, cut him, or trade him. Because there's going to be so much friction in that locker room now. I don't think over a full season they're going to be able to overcome that. Now, just today, I believe it was, Antonio Brown came out kind of defending Bell decision to hold out. The quote he said, it is true, is, they're like a family, and if any of you listeners out there have brothers or sisters, you know yourself, you always fought with your brother or sisters, but in the end you always had each other's back when it came time that they needed help in some way. But like Brown said, he was quoted that said, "No one wins when the family feuds. At the end of the day, we're family. We want the best for them. That's what it's all about. It's not about pointing fingers and fighting among other. We are a core group that should respect and love each other regardless of the situation." So these quotes also are coming from an ESPN article. And the article goes on to say also several teammates criticized Bell from the locker room on Wednesday for the running back's decision to leave his $14.5 million franchise tag unsigned. One veteran player told ESPN that Bell effed us by not telling teammates he would be gone. It goes on also. But the team reversed course by Thursday with guard David DeCastro saying the team liked Bell and there are no hard feelings. I know also the agent came out while these comments were coming out this past week, and this is, I think, why some of the linemen got upset about it. The agent came out and said that he's only protecting his future. But here's my take on it, pretty much to kind of maybe end this segment. They're not gonna franchise him next year, so why not just sign the $14.5 million? I'm pretty sure you could get by this year with that, and stop looking like a me guy and go into the offseason next year. Because by you holding out like this, only is going to start turning teams off from trying to sign you to a big contract. And I am going to be curious to see how it goes for him next year. But like I said, if I was the Steelers, I would rescind the franchise or trade him, because coming back into that locker room is going to be very toxic. I think you're going to start hearing stories of players fighting with each other, physical altercations. I think you're going to see that and hear that. The other story that came out this past week was about Mikael Kendricks pleading guilty to the insider trading stuff. Me and King touched on a little bit, I think it was last week. And at the time I saw that he was looking at 6 to 12 months. But the article that we were touching on said the DA or whoever is heading this investigation said he wants Kendricks to have some significant amount of jail time. Well, it came out, and this is another article from ESPN. Former Cleveland Browns linebacker Mikael Kendricks pleaded guilty to insider trading charges on Thursday and faces up to 25 years in prison. I mean, he's done. There's no football left in him. His career is done as far as that goes. Even if he gets a plea deal, he's probably still going to look at 10 or 15 years in prison. just another good talent and a young kid wasted because he surrounded himself probably with obviously he surrounded himself with the wrong people. And we see this a lot too. You think NFL would start implementing some type of not like player development, but like classes or something like that to help these young guys coming into the league, to teach them what to look out for as far as bad choices when it comes to something like this, or alcohol or drugs or any type of getting in trouble with the law. I mean, I just saw again, I think it was this morning, I saw Joseph Randall from the Dallas Cowboys. When he was playing with the Cowboys, got arrested for stealing underwear, of all things. But now today I saw he got charged with rape. Now here's another 27, 28-year-old kid. His life's over. Just because of bad choices. But kind of go back to the Kendricks thing. U.S. District Judge Gene Prater asked Kendricks why he was pleading guilty. He was quoted saying, "I'm making the decision because it's the right thing to do. I know that I made the decision to accept information, secret information, and it wasn't the right thing to do." And now he's looking at a December 18th sentencing date. So in about a week and a half, we'll find out how long he's going to be in jail, but it's not looking too good for him. So with that all being said, I think that's going to do it for us this week. Glad you guys joined me for this week. Hopefully next week we have King back, better than ever, like I said. You could, as far as Twitter, follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Jimbo ST Sports. You can follow King at King of Skunk Duck. And you can follow the show itself at ST Sports Podcast. I've been trying to do some live tweeting, so maybe I'll pick a college game tomorrow and do some live tweeting during that one. Definitely not during Notre Dame, because I'm going to want to sit down and definitely watch that. You could listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn. Any other ideas you guys want us to get on? Shoot us a message, and we'll definitely do our best to get on there. But this is your good friend Jimbo, signing out. See ya.